let me know, and I can get that.
Professor,
Yes.
I have a quick question before you start this part of the lecture. What exactly is grad school? I do hear this a lot. I
Yeah.
was just has nothing to do with this, I guess. Is that like a master's to go to get your okay?
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're going, so basically you have a bachelor's degree and then it's going on to the next step. So for some people, when they have a bachelor's, they go on to like a professional school. So like med school is,
Mhm.
I think the one that most people are most familiar with. And med school costs like millions, billions of dollars. So people think that all secondary degrees cost money, but
Mhm.
actually most masters and doctoral programs are paid because you're teaching while you're doing the work. So yeah, if you're interested, we can definitely talk more about that later.
Thank you.
Yeah. um Talia, I believe it is, yeah, the kiss. Is that the one you're asking about?
Oh, no, that's the other side. The
Oh, the
one
other
with the
side, this one.
watercolor. I think
one.
it looks like Leonid Afremov. It's my favorite painter. So
I love this guy's work, but I think it's I think it's a knockoff. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of
yeah,
impressionists that do the same kind of
yeah,
work. So I don't think it's
yeah. I don't think it's an original. It would be
yeah.
crazy expensive.
Well, not an original, but I mean like there are people who do work like his, but it's not his work. Does that make sense? So it's like even cheap. It's like the knockoff of the knockoff.
It's a copy.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so welcome to our class. I'm going to get into our Canvas shell. So this will give me an opportunity. Hopefully things are working, but I just want to give you guys a little tour of Canvas and show you around what's here, so you know how to utilize all the resources that are available to you. We'll go through all of the materials that you need for the class. We'll go through how to navigate Canvas, some of the things that I will do for you remotely that will hopefully help you keep on track. And then we'll talk about like grades and syllabus stuff, all that kind of good stuff. So first thing, the button. So for those of you who have been in my class before, hopefully this is not news to you, but the button is everything. So any kind of question that you might have about what we're doing this week, what quiz there might be, what exam, if there's lecture videos that you can link to, the topics for the quizzes, exams, anything like that will be on the button, okay? So this is the only time that you'll see the button looking this way. For the rest of forever, you'll see it looking this way. So you'll have at the very top the assessment for the week. So the syllabus quiz is the one that hopefully you guys are going to get working on soon. Any assignments that you need to be working on, obviously these dates are incorrect, so it will be correct next week once I do my actual first update. But any of the homeworks that you should be working on, links to lectures. So these are links to my pre-recorded lectures. So the way that we're going to have this class structured is I'm going to try and make it as much like being in a classroom as possible, right? So I'm going to have most of my lectures will not be from my office. They'll be from our actual classroom, because I want it to feel like you're in class, right? So it'll be, you don't have to watch these videos, but they're there for you. I'm not going to record most of our lectures because I want you guys, I don't want to overwhelm you with too many resources, and these ones are all nice and organized already. So these are the ones that will be available to you, not the Zoom lectures that we'll have in the first few weeks of class. Does that make sense? Everybody see what I'm laying down? Cool. So what was I talking about? Oh, right. So these pre-recorded lectures are ones that I've done over the pandemic. They're all organized by chapter and by week. right? So if you miss a day of class, you have all of these resources. And even if you didn't miss a day, but maybe you just need to refresh on a particular topic, or you just feel like you need a little bit more work with it, you have a description of all of the topics here and the times that that those topics are talked about. So if you want to pinpoint a particular topic, you should hopefully be able to do that. Yeah. So our classes, beep, boop, beep, boop. Our class lecture schedule, we have 2 lectures a week. So just bear that in mind when you're looking at the videos. They're broken up by week. So missing 1 day of class doesn't necessarily mean that you have to watch all of those videos. Does that make sense? Yeah, kind of.
Mhm.
Cool. And then I'll have whatever you should be looking forward to in the next week, right? So if we have a quiz in the following week, what will be on that quiz, specifically the topics, and then also some specific problems from the homeworks that you guys will be working on, hopefully. I will let you know if there's anything that you need to memorize, like this conversion table is one of the very first things that you're going to need to memorize. And we'll talk more about that in our next class. And then I'll also explicitly tell you what won't be on the quiz. So if oftentimes we'll be ahead of the material that we're going to be quizzed on, right, in the lecture. So we'll maybe be talking about chapter 2, but we'll be getting a quiz on chapter 1. So I want to make sure that you're comfortable with knowing what material you need to know, but also what you don't need to know, right? What it won't be on the quiz. Does that make sense? Everybody picking up what we're laying down? Questions? BT dubs, I don't think I mentioned this yet, but if you're not familiar with Zoom, if you look at the bottom of the screen, there should be, what's it called? Reactions. There should be a little reactions tab there. If you want to ask a question, you don't have to wait for me to ask if you have questions, just raise your hand, do the little raise hand. And then I'll be able to see who's talking to me. It just makes it easier if you do want to mention something. Because otherwise when I'm sharing screen, I can only see like two or three people. So yeah. Cool. So that's the button. And again, I'll update that weekly. You'll know that the button has been updated because I'll put a different GIF up. So other things that you can access from the homepage. So the frequently asked questions, especially in the remote environment, there's what'll happen is I'll have a question from one person that then I'll get it again and again and again and again. And because a lot of those explanations take a ton of time when I'm typing them out, I'll usually just make a video explanation and then I'll post it there. Does that make sense? So if I ever say, hey, can you check the FAQs? That's what I'm referring to, right? So that's right on the homepage, easy to find. So examples of things that I posted here, how to submit my work for a quiz or an exam or for the homework, and how to understand your grade, stuff like that. Does that make sense? So you can access the syllabus, you can access the modules. I'll go through both of those. You can get to Zoom, which hopefully you already knew that. You can get to Discord here. So this is hopefully going to be a link to our class. Huzzah, it is. So this is the invitation link is the one that's on our homepage there. So if you haven't joined already, I encourage you to do that. I'm going to flip over to our Discord so we can talk a little bit about that. So if you're not familiar with this platform, it's very similar to working with like an Instagram or a Twitter. It has a lot of the same kind of functionality. So what you can do with Discord, you are able to chat in any of these channels. So there's different channels here. So announcements is going to be where I'm going to post anything that you need to know for the class, right? So let's say my kid's sick and we're going to be doing a remote lecture or something like that. That would be information that I would post here. General is kind of, I don't know where to put a question, but I'm going to put it here. Oh yes, that's a really helpful piece of information. So this is how you can scan things using your iPhone. So you guys are able to share this kind of information with each other, which super, super helpful. For us, a lot of the questions about homework and quizzes, exams, things like that, you want to put in the lecture questions tab. If you're in my lab, or even if you're not in my lab, if you're in a Mesa College lab and you have a question about the lab, you're welcome to ask me here. Anything about campus that you might be wondering. So this would be things like, for example, parking is free this semester, so you all don't have to pay for parking. So just be aware of that. If anything is asking you for a ticket or something like that, don't pay it. You don't have to pay. But that's the kind of information you could ask each other about or ask me about. Resources. So this could be anything from stuff on campus that's available, like scholarships or farmers market. Sometimes I'll post those. But it could also be like I have this YouTube channel that I really, really like, and I think they explain things way better than the teacher, you know, something like that. So anything you guys want to share with each other that's helpful, you're welcome to share there. And then these are all of our cuties. I love that you guys are already posting these for us. This is my baby girl, Elsie, who's sick right now, of course, week 1. No thanks. And my baby boy, who's 1. Elsie just turned 5, and Ever is 1. So I got my hands full. Video links. So this would be things like if I'm recording, if somebody asked me to record a lecture or something in office hours comes up where somebody asks a specific question and I decide to record it, I would post that here for you. Okay. Or if somebody is like, I need help referencing a particular topic and I can't find it, I'll help you find it and put it in here. And then helpful links. So this would be anything from our Zoom to scholarship opportunities, internships, things like that. And you guys are also welcome to share here. One of the things that I want to point out is I know that with these kinds of apps, it can be really difficult to weed through. There's a lot of people talking and it can get a little bit overwhelming. So one of the features that I want to point out is this little pin here. So especially with announcements and anything that's really important, I will always post those here. So you can click that and it'll show you the most recent thing that I've pinned first. And then you can scroll down and it'll go back through the other things that I've pinned. I ask you please not to pin things yourself, because I want this to be an area for students to be able to easily come and see anything that they might want to reference. Does that make sense? Cool. Questions about that? All right. Notification settings. So this is one that I think a lot of people struggle with, because if you do all message notifications, it's going to blow your phone up a lot. Or if you have it on your phone. So just be aware of that. If you don't want to do all messages, you can use category defaults, or you can use only at mentions. So just like you would on like Instagram, if you want to mention somebody specifically, you put the at sign, and then it'll come up with a list of names. So that'll make it so that if somebody references your name specifically, that's the only time you'll get a notification. So that will happen if I do at everyone, right? So if I have something important to say, I will put at everyone. So just so you know, you can change the notification settings so that it doesn't make you insane. Any questions so far about Discord? All right.
Is this for extra information, or is it mandatory that we use this as well as Canvas?
So again, this is not mandatory. But this is where I'm going to post a lot of resources, and it's where you guys are able to talk to each other and direct message me. So this is the fastest and most reliable way to communicate with me and with each other. So the feature that you guys are probably going to use most is direct messaging. So if you click on somebody's name and down here at the bottom, it'll say message this person, right? So you can message that person and then it will come up with a personal message window. So this is my PM example or my DM example. So if you message somebody, you'll come up with this window. Nobody else can see this. It's just between you and whoever you're having a conversation with, right? So if you need to talk to me, this is the fastest way to get a hold of me. You can still message me through Canvas. I'm pretty good at responding to emails. The nice thing about Discord is sometimes Canvas is really slow at getting the email to me. So if it's a really urgent question, it may be easier for you to get a hold of me through Discord. Does that make sense? Questions? All right. Cool. So any other questions about Discord? All right. Cool. All right, so that's Discord, very exciting stuff. Materials for the course, you're gonna need a calculator. I do not care which kind of calculator you get. I'm very annoyed by this particular search because it's coming up with the most expensive version. I wonder if the prices are surging because classes are starting. That's so shitty. Oh, Amazon, I hate you. Such a love-hate relationship. But this particular calculator is the one that I like. It's the one that I use in my videos, and it's the one that I'll use in class. It's not the only one that you can use. If you have a graphing calculator already, you're totally welcome to use it. The main thing is you need to have this, it needs to be scientific or better. Does that make sense? Sitlali?
Citlali. Yeah.
Sitlali.
Would the TI-84 work, or do you recommend the TI-30X?
Yeah, so you're welcome to use the graphing calculator. Again, the reason why I recommend this one is because I think it's easy to use. So I think with a lot of people, the graphing calculators, they're really fancy and most people don't know how to use them. So if you're comfortable using that calculator, by all means, but whatever calculator you get for this class or that you decide to use for this class, always use the same one. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So,
So
go ahead.
sorry, I'm sorry. I have the TI-36X Pro. Would that work?
Anything that is graphing or scientific calculator will work, right?
Okay. Okay.
So again, this isn't the only calculator, but if you're really not friends with math, a lot of my videos will go through and show examples of how to use this calculator. Once we're back on campus, obviously I can help you guys individually with your calculators. But for the remote period, unfortunately, the beginning of the semester is when we start talking about how to use a calculator. So the sooner you have a calculator, the better. Summer, I'm sorry, thank you for being patient.
Yeah, of course. Just to help out everybody, I bought mine at Office Depot.
Yes.
And it was much cheaper. It was like 13, 14 bucks.
And they
So
have all the colors, right?
they did. I got my pink one.
I love it. So this is the other thing. I know this is really stupid, but I'm like obsessed with like they have every different color that you can imagine. I'm showing how much of a nerd I am. So I love the colorful calculators, obviously totally not important in terms of function, but yes, I know Office Depot, you said it was that you went to, Office Max, Staples, I think all of them have a way better price for these. So So that's probably a better place to look for a calculator. I think Amazon's gotten pretty overpriced in terms of their calculators. So awesome. So you need a calculator, and then your textbook for this class is beautifully free. So this is your textbook. It is available online. All of the chapters are here. It's not a super thorough textbook, but I kind of like it for that. I personally, when I was an undergraduate, I don't think that I read a textbook until I was doing like much higher level stuff, or until I was at UCSD probably. So I didn't utilize my textbooks that much. So I want you to have a textbook so that if I explain something in a way that doesn't really make sense to you, or if you really like using textbooks, if that's a way that works for you to understand things, that's available to you. But everything that you need for our course will be on our campus, right? So there's nothing in this textbook that you need to know that's not on Canvas. Does that make sense? Everybody?
Yeah.
Cool. If you're a real paper person and you prefer to have a paper copy of the book, I do have it set up so the bookstore has copies available of just the chapters of this book that we use printed. So that's, I believe it's $22 for a printed copy if you do prefer to have that. The only thing that's kind of a bummer about the printed copy is it doesn't have all of the features that, that the online copy has. So you're not going to get hyperlinks. There's a lot of video content in the online book that obviously wouldn't be available. So that's the only thing with the printed book. But again, it is available to you if you prefer that medium. Any questions about the textbook?
Yeah, I had a question. You said when we start to go into the context,
Mhm.
and then from there it would guide me to go to vocabulary or definitions. I did that. I didn't see that.
I'll get there. I'll
Okay,
show
thank
exactly.
you. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Sid Lolly. Am I saying it right now?
Yeah, you're good now.
Cool.
Can you show one more time how to get to the textbook?
Yes, there are a million ways to get to the textbook. If you click the textbook here, that's one way. You also have links from the modules. So module 0 has a link to the textbook. Also, each chapter has a link to the chapter in the textbook. So there are lots of different ways that you can access that textbook.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I've got a question, but I'm not sure if it's relevant right now.
Cool.
So for our lab that is on Thursdays,
Uh-huh.
those are online as well?
Only for the first 3 weeks, then they'll be on campus.
Just
we'll
like this
talk more
is
about-
online for the first 3 weeks?
Yeah, we'll talk more about that in lab.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Any other questions about what we've gone through so far?
I have another question that it's not about this.
Mhm.
I was wondering, when exactly when we will be going back on campus? Like, is there like a specific day?
Yes, week 4. Oh, I don't have anything printed out over here. I believe that is the week of the 21st. Yeah, so the 21st is President's Day, which is a holiday. So we'll be back the 22nd, right? And I will make sure that I remind you of this as we're getting closer to. I'm trying to kind of limit the amount of stuff that I talk about with on campus right now, since it's not relevant. And if you're anything like me, you're just going to forget it anyways. So, Kara, what's up?
I was wondering if if you have this class, do you have to have the lab attached to it or no?
They are co-requisites. So if you have already taken Chem 100L or the equivalent course somewhere else, then you could still register for this class and not register for the lab. But I think, or if you've already passed the lab and you're just retaking the lecture, then you don't have to take them together. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I I would just always thought you always had to take like one. You would always had to take the chemistry and the lab like always together. So I just didn't know that.
Yeah, so I think enrollment wise, it won't let you add this lecture without the lab. But there are some instances where people have already taken or satisfied that requisite. So there are exceptions.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question. Are the exams always on Tuesdays or Thursdays?
I will go over that schedule in just a minute. We're
Okay.
getting there. Thank you for being patient. Any other questions? Connor, go ahead.
Yeah, I had a question regarding lab.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know it's irrelevant to this class, but for Thursday, do we need the lab manual ASAP or just when we go back?
No, when we come back, you'll need it,
Okay.
but I'll talk more about that in the lab.
Awesome.
Great
Thank you
question.
so much.
Yeah, of course. So, that was speaking of resources. Thank you for reminding me, Connor. I just wanted to mention that if anybody is unable to purchase a calculator, if that's a financial hardship for you, please talk to me. Shoot me an email. I can either loan you a calculator or we'll figure something out, right? But I definitely talk to me because that shouldn't be. I don't want it to be a situation where you're like trying to use your phone in class and then I'm like, you can't use that on exams. So getting started now with using your calculator is super important. Yeah.
I've got a question about contacting you.
Right.
So let's say normally in like other classes, we would email the professor like, hey, I have this question. Do you just want us to do it on Discord?
Yes, both work, either work, right?
Okay.
A Discord is easier for me to answer from my phone because I get the notifications. So again, it's not like I won't respond to you. If you email me, I will, absolutely, or if you message me through Canvas. But technology in the district, I'm sure you guys have noticed, is not the fastest. So if there's multiple layers that communication has to go through, then sometimes it can take a while. Our email in the district sometimes will just flat out fail. So it'll be down for like 24 or 48 hours. This happened before. So again, I just want to make sure that you have some way to contact me that is more immediate. Does that make sense? Cool. All right. So you have the modules. This is what I want to get into next. So the first module, module 0, is just kind of helpful stuff for the course. You have your first week's homework is just introductions. I usually like to do this in class, but because we are remote, we're doing it remotely here. So please share that. Hopefully it won't take you too long, but do make sure you do that. I like the introductions because it gives you guys an opportunity to get to know each other and see, who else in the course might be on a similar path to you that you might be able to start a study group with or ask questions about, or maybe you're looking to take a microbiome class and other people have taken it already. They can give you a recommendation on a professor or something like that. Your syllabus quiz, this is going to go through a lot of the material that we've gone through today, but in a little bit more detail, and hopefully get you comfortable with everything in the course. This is the button again. Your lecture schedule is here. So this is going to tell you, this is the wrong one. Okay, cool. So I have the lecture schedule is definitely not for Monday and Wednesday, so I will fix that. But this is going to go through the different topics. It's going to let you know if we have a quiz or an exam, that kind of thing. The more useful one is going to be this due dates, exam, and quiz schedules. So this one is going to tell you what you should be working on and what will be due and when it will be due. Right. So for example, our first thing I believe that you have due is the syllabus quiz. So just because it says Thursday here doesn't mean that this date corresponds to that day. Does that make sense? So Thursday of next week, I think, is the 10th but it's due on a Friday. Does that make sense? So just be aware of that. The deadlines that are in Canvas should be correct. If they're not, let me know because I will fix them. And I think I have all the defaults set to midnight, 11:59, whatever, of that night. So homeworks can be turned in remotely. If you prefer to turn in the homeworks paper-wise, you're welcome to do that. That's totally fine. I'm into it. But it is, I think, for most people easier to turn them in remotely. So that's available. These are all hyperlinked to the assignments. So if you click, you can get to the homework for chapter 1. And then the rubric is also posted here for you. So the homeworks are all going to be accompanied by the answer key. So when you click into the homework, you'll see all of the problems are here. And the answer key is at the very end here. So the answer key is going to give you the answers, but not necessarily work the problems for you, right? So in order to get full credit for the homework, you need to make sure that you've shown work where appropriate. Not all of the questions require you to show work, but for ones that do, math-related problems, make sure you show work so you can get full credit. I have due dates here for the homeworks, but if I'm being totally honest about it, I don't really care when you turn them in. The reason why the due dates are important is because if you haven't finished the homework by the date that they're due, then you're probably not going to be prepared for a quiz or an exam. Does that make sense? So let me explain what I mean. So for chapter 1's homework is due on February 15th. February 17th, we have a quiz on the material from chapter 1, right? So can you turn in the homework late? Sure, I don't care. But if you're not doing the homework on time, then you're probably not going to be doing as well on these quizzes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so basically we potentially can still get the full credit if we do the problems correctly and do all the work, even if it's past the due date. But yeah, it might affect our quiz grade because we're not ready for it. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Is it Lolly?
So just to kind of piggyback on Ivana, damn, I lost my train of thought. It's the morning, I'm not awake yet. So we can have them done, like say before the quiz, and we'll still get full credit as long as it's due, as long as it's turned in with all the right answers and everything.
Yes, as long as you show full work. And even if I grade something and you don't get full credit for it, you can resubmit it as many times as you want, and up until like the end of the semester. So I right around exam 3 is usually when I'll put like a hard cutoff, like, hey guys, you have to turn everything in by X date. And that's mainly just so that you all know that you're reaching completion there, right?
Okay.
That kind of help?
Yeah, so there's kind of like, in a sense, no excuse to like get a bad grade.
Yeah, do the homework. Do it. I want you to do it. Do it. Even if you don't do it right now, do it later. Do it a month late. I don't care. Just
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Josie, am I saying that right?
Yes. I have a question. Yes. Is this homework separate from the lab?
Yes.
Okay. And then second question, all this homework is going to be in the module, right? Like first. Okay, perfect.
I'm gonna go through the module in just a second. I know it's hard for me to go through everything because there's so many different places where everything lives on here. So
no, I'm so sorry. I'm just jumping like
okay.
ahead. So I'm like, I need to find out.
I love that. So one of the other things that I always tell my students, this is one of the things that I learned from having kids, is kids are not afraid to click on stuff at all. Like they should be more scared than they are, but they are not. My daughter will just go in and literally click everything on my phone. I'm like, no, stop, like having a panic attack. So I think there's something about us as adults that we stop like we get scared of clicking on things. Click on everything in our Canvas shell, okay? I'm pretty confident that you can't F anything up. There are a handful of ways that you can F something up by clicking a button. I will let you know what those are. But for the most part, I do have things linked in a ridiculous amount of places. So by all means, click away. Did I answer your question, Josie? Cool. All right. So this is hopefully where you can find anything, any questions that you have about assignments when they're due will be here. And if you're trying to get a little bit of guidance on what to be working on, that's also here. So again, that can be accessed from Module 0. Some other important links, you've got your textbook, times and ways that you can contact me. So my office hours will be via Zoom or Discord. I'm only going to do office hours via Zoom by appointment. So if you want to meet with me, just let me know and I can hop on Zoom. Okay. Otherwise, I'll just be hanging out, hopefully hanging out in my office. But yeah, so we'll have face-to-face availability for office hours once we are back on campus. Does that make sense? Cool. I have this little disclaimer here that I will respond within 1 business day. The reason why I say that is not because it's going to take me 24 hours usually to respond to you, but I want to, number one, let you know that my ability to answer emails on the weekend is, subject to ability. So I have 2 kids and a husband, so I'm not always able to answer emails on the weekend. But the main reason why I put this here is because I want you to know if I don't respond to your email within 1 business day, then what might have happened is I might have clicked on it while I was doing something else and it got lost in the shuffle, right? So if I haven't responded to you within 1 business day, feel free to email me or message me again because I probably forgot and I'm sorry and I apologize. But that happens a lot when I'm looking, like my daughter will be on my phone clicking through songs while I'm driving and she just like erase things. So again, things happen, right? I'm always trying to be here for you, never trying to ignore you. So don't think that you're bothering me by sending me that second email. I want to help you, okay? And then some other links to our Zoom room, helpful web links, beautiful periodic table, student services, and then some Scanner app info. Scanner app, if you're not familiar with them, basically just turns your phone camera into a scanner. These are a couple examples, but by no means the only ones. Please don't pay for one. There are tons of free ones out there. And again, if you do have an iPhone, somebody put in the Discord how you can use your iPhone. You just go into the messages, not messages, excuse me, the notes, and the little picture of a camera turns your phone into a scanner. What I do ask is that when you're scanning and uploading your homework or whatever other documents, that you put all of the pages into 1 PDF. It just makes it a lot easier, especially when I'm grading from my phone, which I often do in bed late at night, to grade those if they're all in 1 file. And it won't let you upload homework that is pictures, I don't think. So I do restrict the file type, so just be aware of that as well. All right, so now let's get into the modules. So beyond module 0, all of the modules correspond to a particular chapter. So module 1 is chapter 1, and it's a part of exam 1. So you have chapter 2 is also on exam 1, and chapter 3 is also on exam 1. When you get to the last chapter for a given exam, that's where your practice exams will be. It's also where your exam outlines will be. And there'll also be some exam review that I've done remotely that's posted online. So you can watch those videos if you want a little bit of remote help with that. Each module has point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4, and point 5. Point 1 is always what you hopefully should be able to master when you're done with this chapter. It's going to include anything that you need to have memorized, right? So conversion factors, again, are one of the things that you have to have memorized here. This little definition as well is one that you have to have memorized. So I try to highlight those things for you. When you get into point 2, that's going to be the key topics and definitions. I think somebody was asking about this before, but this is where these are all the definitions that we'll go through in class as well. But you also get some pictures and then links to the lectures that go over those topics. So hopefully one-stop shop for everything lecture. And then some nice pretty pictures. And again, a lot of this stuff we'll be going through in class. I also put some simulations in here. You guys don't have to do these, but I think they're kind of a fun interactive way to explore concepts. So, you know, play with science a little bit, have fun with it, hopefully. Sonia, go ahead.
Do you do like notes through class, or do you just go over this and like we'll just write it like our own notes?
Most of my lectures are actually just board talks. So I'll be lecturing just hanging out in the classroom at the board. I personally think PowerPoints are just a little bit too fast-paced. But essentially, whatever I cover in lecture will also be here. Does that make sense, Sonia?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool. John?
Do we need Scantrons for the exams?
No, you do not. Other questions?
Speaking of the exams, are they the one on the 17th? Is it in Zoom or is it in the class?
So the quiz that we have, that first quiz 1 is going to be remote because we won't be in class that week, but that's the only remote assessment that we'll have. Everything else will be on campus in class. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, and then.
Sorry, I have a question. Yeah. If there's like say we're in class and in person we're taking an exam and it's a math question, are we allowed to use a calculator?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you will never not have a calculator or a periodic table on an exam unless you don't need it, right? Or on a quiz. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That's one of the reasons why I think it's really important to practice with the same calculator, because that way you know how to use it when you come into an assessment and you're not like, oh shit. So point 3 is always going to be a link to the chapter textbook. Point 4 is the homework for that chapter. And then point 5 is the lectures, the pre-recorded lectures, which are organized by week. Okay. Anything after that in a module is going to be extra help. So I know that some of the subjects that people struggle with the most are math related. So I have some workshops where I go through an extra worksheet that's very similar to your homework. And I've got a pre-recorded kind of review session with that. There's also one for dimensional analysis. So any extras that I have, any extra resources will always be at the bottom of the module. Right, so those are here, right? Marcos, go ahead.
Yeah, when are we going to be doing are we going to be looking at the chapters during class?
So we're going to start talking about chapter 1 on Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right.
I have a question actually.
Okay, go ahead.
Just going back to the calculator, I know you put like basically a recommendation of like an example one that would work for the class and the calculator button. Like for if you get a different brand, you know, for it to be less expensive, what things should you basically know what to look for that it says?
It has to be a scientific calculator or more sophisticated than that. So
Okay.
you should be able to find a scientific calculator that's like $10 to $15.
Yeah.
But I doubt you'll be able to find one for less than that.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Does So, and I think, I forget who mentioned it, but Office Max was that Summer. That Office Max has the calculator that I recommended for whatever, $14.
Office Depot. Yeah.
Office Depot, sorry.
You're fine.
Okay. Yeah. So those are the modules. And then the last thing, last but very much not least, is our syllabus. So office hours are also listed here. When we do come back onto campus, we will be in MS 411. Very excited for that. And I'll let you guys go through all of the boring stuff in the beginning. I just want to go through and talk about some of the requirements and what grading will be going on. Again, if you are having any financial hardship with getting anything from this class, please let me know. I do have available at the bookstore lecture packet. This is mine, so it's in color. The one that you guys have in the bookstore is black and white, but it has everything that's on Canvas. It has the key terms and definitions, all of the figures. It has all of the homeworks, all of the practice exams, and all of the answer keys. So if you're a person that really likes paper and you want a printout of the lecture packet, that's, I believe, $14 at the bookstore. If you're anything like me and you don't own a printer, then it's kind of nice just to have everything be printed out for you for the homework. I know some of you guys just do that stuff on your computer though, and that's fine too. But if you want that, the bookstore has the lecture packet, and that has all of the homeworks and all of the resources that are on Canvas, but in paper form. But yeah, if you have any financial hardship getting these materials, let me know. I'm happy to work with you and help you with that. So again, homework is worth 10%. All of the homeworks are on Canvas or in the lecture packet if you choose to get that. They're all going to be submitted online. And just to reiterate, the deadlines are there to help you make sure that you're on track. But if you turn things in late, I will still give you full credit as long as things are completed. You've shown all your work, then you should be fine. I want you to do the homework is what I'm trying to say. Kara, go ahead. Kara or Kara?
It's Kara. I was wondering, is the STEM center open?
It is remote right now, but it will be eventually open on campus. So
Okay.
I will give you more details on that as they come to me for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need that.
Yeah, no, totally. We all do. So attendance and participation, this first couple weeks is the only time that I'm going to be actually taking attendance, which I will do for those of you who came in late at the end of class. I don't normally take attendance, but what I mean by participation is if you're active in class, you're asking questions, if you're active on Discord and you're helping each other out, these are the kinds of the things that I see that clearly show me that you're engaged with the material and that you're trying. I know that a lot of us are better at trying than being successful on assessments, and I get that. So if you've been showing me clearly that you're trying really hard in the class and you're on the edge of like a B to an A or a C to a B, that would be my incentive to bump you up. Does that make sense? So it's not something I keep track of, but I will definitely know your names if you're participating and engaged. Okay. Quizzes with 24%. There's 9 quizzes. I think there's actually 10 quizzes if you include the syllabus quiz, which is a gimme. You get to drop your lowest quiz score for the first non-Canvas based quiz. Just a reminder, that will be in Zoom. So you'll have to be logged on to Zoom and logged on to Canvas and doing the assessment with me. Not with each other, but just while I'm watching you. Just super comfortable. I know, it's super fun. But that's how we got to do it. So generally they'll be in the first 20 minutes of class. So if you're more than 10 minutes late, I reserve the right to tell you that you can't take it, mostly because I don't want everybody in the class to have to wait for you to take the quiz, right? If you know that you're going to miss a class or something like that, I may be able to arrange for you to take the quiz at another time, but generally speaking, if you come 20 minutes late to class and we've already done the quiz, I'm just going to tell you, sorry, so your lowest quiz score is dropped. So if that happens, if you're, running late and not able to make it for one of the quizzes, or if you're sick, that'll just be the one that you drop. There is going to be a makeup quiz in addition to that. So because I know that things are crazy with COVID times, that there may be something out of your control like quarantine that makes it so that you're unable to make more than one quiz. This will be an online quiz that you're able to take if you want to, totally optional, that will replace another one of your lower scores. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Questions about quizzes? There's a lot of partial credit in this class. So when we're doing quizzes, there will be some multiple choice, but the majority of my questions will be fill in the blank, or especially for math questions, there'll be a lot more credit for the work that's shown than for the answer, right? So even if you get the wrong answer, you can still get the majority of the credit just by showing how you did the problem. Same is true for tests. So tests are 66%. There's going to be 3 exams and then a final that's comprehensive. The lowest exam score is dropped automatically in Canvas. The way that I like to frame that for students is that if you're happy with your grade on the first 3 exams, then you don't have to take the final, right? So the final in that sense is optional. I think especially towards the end of the semester, that's usually what people are trying to go for. So once we take exam 3, I'll turn that around to you pretty fast and put a 0 in the final exam column for everyone so that you can see what your score would be if you decide not to take the final, right? Doesn't mean that you can't take the final, but it'll let you know what your grade is, and then you can decide where your resources are best allocated, right? Where your time is best needed. So, and I'll remind you of that 3,000 more times as we go through the semester, because I know you'll probably forget and they don't want you to have a panic attack. So any questions about quizzes, exams, or homework?
I just want to reiterate what you said. So if we pass the first 3 exams, we don't have to take the comprehensive final.
So if you're satisfied with your grade after exam 3, then you don't need to take the final. Whatever that grade is, if you're like, I'm just trying to get a C and get out, that's fine. Then if you have a C and you're passing, then you do not need to take the final. It's totally up to you. In some cases, people won't be able to move their grade up. So if you're at like the low end of a B, it might not even be possible for you with taking the final to get to an A, right? So I also want you to know that.
Is it possible to have a 90 without taking the final?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
The exams aren't timed per se, but they will be occupying all of our lecture time. So they will be confined to that time period, right? Unless you need accommodations, right? I'm happy to make accommodations through proctoring services. If you do need those accommodations, let me know as soon as possible and I can definitely get that set up for you. Does that make sense? I'm sorry, I forgot who asked that question. Natalie?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
Did you have a day in particular when you take this exam, like per se Monday or Thursday, or it doesn't matter, just when we fall into it?
The dates are in the calendar of dates and exams.
Yeah, but it just says the week. Oh, maybe on the due date one, right? Because I was looking at the syllabus and then I'm thinking the due date ones have the date, right?
It has the date. So this is
okay.
So this quiz is February 17th. This quiz is February 24th. The exam,
Thursday. It was
March.
Thursday.
Yeah, but they're not always on Thursday, right?
Oh, okay.
What I'm trying to say is that you need to look at the particular dates because they're not always on the same day. Yeah, good question. Other questions? If you do take the final, did it count against you? Again, Oscar, because I'm going to put a 0 in for the final, what you'll see before you take the final is the lowest possible score, right? So that'll be the grade that you get if you don't take the final. So you can actually go in, let me change to student view real quick. So if you go into grades, right, you can go in and actually change your score. So you can say, oh, what if I got a 5, right? And it'll change your exams, it'll change your overall total score. So you can do that for the final exam, put in hypothetical scores and see what you'd actually need to get in order to change your grade. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I would assume that if you taking the comprehensive exam ended up lowering your grade, that'd be the one it probably would take out anyway, because that's the lowest one. So it doesn't really hurt to take it, because if it lowers it, then it's out.
Exactly, Ivana, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, any other questions about that? Once we get in person, will the exams be in person? All of our exams and quizzes that can be face-to-face will be face-to-face. Does that make sense, Sitlani? And then you can revert back to your actual scores.
Can we ask questions on the exam to you, or just?
Of course, I encourage it. Yeah.
Okay.
Oops, sorry. Sorry. I got to get off of that screen. I guess there's no grades in right now. It doesn't even matter, but it's like my natural instinct, because I often will push that button and then forget to hide people's grades. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Okay. So what are we talking about? Syllabus stuff. So that is that information. Attendance and withdrawal. So if you are unable to attend for any reason, that's totally fine. Please keep me in the loop with what's going on in your life and with any circumstances that might be coming up. I'm super duper flexible, and I want you guys to be successful in this class. That's the reason why I do this. So while there will be no makeup exams, there are still things, if you know that you're going to be out of town, we might be able to make accommodations, that kind of thing. So talk to me, right? I'm happy to help you in whatever way I can. Do you need to attend? Not necessarily. I think most students that attend are generally more successful. And obviously, if we have quizzes and exams face-to-face, you need to be there in order to be able to take those. Student code of conduct, I think hopefully everybody knows that cheating is not the way. We'll talk more about that when we get into assessments, but please don't cheat. The main thing that I want you guys to understand is that no one can learn in an environment where they don't feel safe. And I take that extremely seriously. So please be respectful of everyone. That goes both ways, right? So if you ever feel like I say something that makes you uncomfortable, you don't need to explain it to me. Just tell me. I'm happy to self-censor. If anybody says something to you, anybody else says something to you that makes you uncomfortable, I want to know about that, right? That's very important to me that everybody feels completely safe in our classrooms so that we can learn and grow together. That means no derogatory remarks, no derisive tones, and that means all forms of communication, right? So we do have our Discord server as well, emails, things like that. All of those mediums, we need to be kind to each other and remember that we're all human beings. We all have a lot going on, and that we're going to be kind to each other. Josie, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay. I'm sorry. I just have one more question about the quizzes because I was looking at the syllabus.
Mhm.
Are you quizzing us every week?
Just about.
Until, okay, that's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, and the reason why I do the quizzes weekly is so that you guys can keep up, because it's really easy to fall behind in this material. And so the quizzes are like the hard incentivizer to keep you where you need to be with the material.
Okay, thank you. I was just making sure.
Yeah. Beep, boop, beep, boop. Once we get back to campus, there are also rules about mandatory masks. So I will remind you about this as we get closer to that day, but everybody is required to wear masks. There are masks provided on campus. I think we also have N95 masks available. I don't think they're in the dispensers like the surgical masks are, but there are rules about what constitutes a mask. So if you're unsure whether or not your mask qualifies, take a look there. If you have any contact with anyone that has COVID, or if you get COVID, let me know. You don't have to, but I really want to make sure that once we're back face to face in the classroom, that everybody is safe, that nobody is putting anyone else at risk. So please help us make that environment safe. Do not come to class if you're sick, unless you've talked to me and you have like a negative test. We know that you're not, like, obviously communication is key there. But there are a lot of ways that I can accommodate you if you're unable to physically come into class. So once we do get back into the classroom, I can also Zoom our lectures when we're face to face. So if you're unable to attend the lecture physically, I will still be able to accommodate you via Zoom, right? So I don't want you to feel like there's any reason that you have to show up when you're sick, right? I want you to be able to take that time to heal. Okay. Other questions? The lab is the same link. I'm gonna let you go through the how to be successful in chemistry with the syllabus quiz. And bebop, I think.